Look at you. All right, before we start, this is Leanne Venier. Am I saying your surname correctly, Leanne?
Yeah, pretty good. I say Venier in the US, Venier in Italy because it's Italian, but that's good.
Oh, fantastic. So let's introduce you here. Now, Leanne has been fascinating me for years, so I'm so delighted to be bringing her to you today. So Leanne, tell us a bit about yourself and how this all began.
Okay. You want me just like to tell? Have you mentioned any of what I do? Do you want me to just start?
Okay, start telling us your history.
I'll say everything then. Okay, so I am Leanne Venier. I teach medical doctors and lay people around the world about the science behind the healing effects of color, light therapy, sunlight, and energy medicine, essentially, in a nutshell. So, and I've been doing that for 14 years now. My background, I come from an engineering background. I used to design submarines for Lockheed. Then I moved to Italy for 7 years and spent all that time studying alternative healing modalities. And then came back to the United States and went back to school for acupuncture and Zen Shiatsu, had a healing practice in British Columbia, working with cancer patients, then came back to the States, and then had a healing practice here, but then started painting just as a creative outlet to get into flow state. And my paintings took off right away, so I became a professional artist. And there are a number of different iterations there. So, and it was through the paintings, because I paint large abstract oil paintings, color field paintings. So the response to the paintings, people would have these very strong responses to the color and compositions of the paintings, and they would tell me about those attractions, and they would say, oh my God, I can't stop staring at your red paintings or your blue paintings or whatever they were. And then I would tell them, well, if you're really drawn to that particular color, it may mean you've got this going on in your body and this going on in your life. And then that was where people were like, oh my God, that's exactly what's going on in my body and my life. So they wanted to know more about how do I know that? And basically I said, well, you just told me because we crave color just like we crave nutrients. So, and color and light are synonymous, they're the same thing. And this all derives from the fact that we evolved to live and thrive under sunlight, which has all of these colors within it. So this turned into many years of people pestering me to learn more about this because I hadn't written a book yet. So I started, finally, after 3 years of pestering, put some of this very pared down information about this diagnostic way of understanding that based on the colors that you're drawn to, what is out of balance in your physical body and your energy body. And then that led into being invited to major medical universities to teach medical doctors and the medical students about the science behind the healing effects of color and light. So basically I validated light therapy as a viable healing modality because back then nobody was paying any attention to it. It was considered far woo-woo. And so the medical establishment, surprisingly was very open to learning about all this because when you connect science and I explained the physics in a very easy to understand way so that because medical practitioners are trained in chemistry. So I had to make the physics easy for them to be able to understand and to, so I connected it also with real world experience. And yeah, so that's basically how light therapy started becoming accepted by the masses in the medical community. And now you see light therapy devices all over the place.
That's absolutely amazing. And I'm so excited that you're doing it and that you're taking it to mainstream medicine.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I get invited to speak at a lot of international medical conferences and things like that, as well as other conferences like Mensa and South by Southwest Interactive and other, biohacking conferences. But the majority of my time I spend supporting people in my community because 3.5 years ago, I launched my own product line. After, again, 10 years of people pestering me, incessantly, can you please like sell something that actually works? Because I watched your videos and I went online and I spent $8,000 on this thing or $6,000 and it didn't, I did what they told me to do and it didn't work. It didn't do anything. And like, what do you recommend? And I'm like, oh my God, it's like, I would love to tell you about something that really works. But what I'm seeing more and more is that there are more and more products being put on the market that are like, doing very little for you. So, and very overpriced also for the benefits that they were providing. So anyway, that was where I finally agreed 3.5 years ago to launch my own product line. And then it's just taken off like wildfire. We have like tens of thousands of people using it all around the world. And it's all from word of mouth. I've never spent a dime on advertising.
It's all some of your testimonies this week.
Yeah, we have thousands of them. So, and they're all real world results instead of, selling a product based on hypothetical or, this research study says this, so by extension, our product should do that, which in most cases they don't. So anyway, I just wanted to provide a product that actually worked for people. And it's not just a light therapy product. It also integrates energy medicine with additional quantum healing energies that are healing the energy body. So it's treating illness at the root of illness and disease by treating the energy body, which then heals the physical body, but it also treats the physical body directly as well. So it's healing at all those different layers. So it's basically, it fills up your life force energy gas tank. When people get depleted, they feel like they're running on fumes, just like your car when it's running out of gas, or your cell phone when it's almost on, zero battery and nothing works anymore because you've only got 3% battery left. That's how a lot of people are going through their day, on a regular basis. So they're just exhausted and depleted all the time. So this actually fills up your life force energy gas tank or charges up your life force energy battery, whatever analogy you want to use. And it opens up blockages in the energy channels, the meridians. Because I'm an Eastern medicine physician, all of my protocols are based in the energy body and treating the energy body and the meridian system and opening up those channels and filling up that depleted life force energy, as well as healing at a local cellular and mitochondrial level. So the mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cells. And but if you don't have any gas in your car, it doesn't matter if you clean out the tubing or you put a nice shiny coat of paint on your car and you make things look good on the surface. If you don't put gas in the gas tank, you're not going anywhere. So it does that very important thing of filling up that life force energy gas tank. So, and then it does all of these things, including, literally reversing the aging process. So you get younger, you grow younger. I have people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s that are literally younger now in the way that they feel, the way that they look than, 30 years ago. Sometimes even more than that, 30, 40 years ago. So anyway, it heals all kinds of chronic illness. But anyway, so it all started from the painting. So, and obviously all of my studies that I had done for decades before that, and integrating my backgrounds of the science and the engineering with the Eastern medicine and all these other alternative healing modalities that I'd studied and practiced prior to the acupuncture and Zen Shiatsu. Zen Shiatsu is the Japanese version of the meridians, but you're using finger pressure as opposed to sticking needles in. It's extremely effective. Anyway, what else can I tell you? That's a long answer to a short question. Who are you? What's your background?
Absolutely love it. So tell us about light therapy and light healing and the spectrum and all of that. There's just so much that we want to hear.
Yeah, let me get my rainbow. Hold on one second. I have to get
Yes. So Facebook land, I am hoping that you didn't miss the beginning of this because I'm not sure when Facebook starts airing us actually. So Leanne Venier is here with us and she's absolutely fascinating on so many levels. I'm so glad you're with us, Leanne. Okay.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Okay, so so one of the things that I started teaching about is the importance of getting, sorry, I have to mute my phone. Every time I try to do it, it's like, what? Stop talking to me. I thought I did. Okay, down. Oh, it only muted part of it. Okay. Now it should stop beeping at me. Okay, so yeah, I wanted people to understand, because with my healing practice, what I was seeing over and over again was so many people were getting sick and depleted because, stress, there are so many things that, I talked about our life force energy gas tank. So if you imagine yourself as a car, this is your car in life, that drives your whatever word you want to call, consciousness, soul, whatever it is, this is your vehicle in life. So you want to take good care of it, right? So, but what was happening over and over again in my healing practice, I was seeing people that were so tired and depleted, and the things that siphon off that life force energy on a regular basis are, stress is a huge one. I mean, that will just, how you feel so depleted after you have a stressful day, or even if you get in an argument with somebody and it's just like you feel zapped. Sometimes just talking to certain people that are like putting out a lot of negative energy, that can zap you as well. Yes. So there are energy vampires out there that they love to feed off that, and they love to rile people up too, and get people really agitated because they just feed off of that energy that you're giving off. You're giving them all your life force energy. So also, so stress, stressful job, stressful relationship, anything that creates stress in your life. The other things are, living in cities, being around high EMF environments, electromagnetic frequencies, Wi-Fi, stuff like that. All of these things, but they don't have to. They don't have to be depleting and exhausting to you. When you have your life force energy gas tank nice and full, those things don't impact you the way that they do when you're depleted. So, let's say, what else? Unhealthy diet, eating non-foods, eating a lot of toxic stuff and artificial flavors and chemicals. And a lot of people in the United States, the typical American diet is not food. I mean, it's almost processed or refined stuff that's full of chemicals. And so that will all, siphon off that life force energy gas tank. And what are some other things? Some of the things that are really important that a lot of people aren't doing is getting out in nature, because that's how we would historically keep our gas tank nice and filled. Because how it feels when you go out in nature and you're surrounded by those energies in nature. Jo, what does it feel like to you when you go out in nature?
I just feel alive. I feel at peace. Mm-hmm. I feel one with myself. I feel grounded. And I just feel like I can thrive.
Yeah, exactly. So it's energizing and it's calming at the same time, because it's literally filling up that life force energy gas tank. So you feel reconnected to yourself, and you feel reconnected to everything, nature, the universe, and everybody. So you get that calm stillness, but at the same time, you have this vibrance and vitality. So a lot of people are not doing that on a regular basis anymore, because we do live in cities. I mean, we have modern societies and we have to live in cities in many cases. So people aren't getting the recharge that we used to on a regular basis, and they're not getting sunshine. So the other thing is, sunshine is vitally important. It has all these vital nutrients in it, in these frequencies of light that are in the sun. And people are not getting that on a regular basis because, we've been terrorized for years by the media telling us that sunshine is going to give you cancer. But really, it's the science has proven that avoiding sunshine gives you cancer. It's directly linked. The less sunshine you get, the more likely you are to die of anything. They've done decades-long studies on this. So this is, so I basically, when I started teaching about this, I brought in all this scientific research and said, look, this is what is the reality, which correlates with how people feel. When you go out in sunshine, and it feels amazing, and you're like, this feels great. Oh, but they keep telling me I'm going to get cancer. So let me slather on this toxic sunscreen. And so that's where a lot of illness comes from as well, because people aren't getting the healing energies that they need from sunshine. And sunshine is just as important, and provides those vital nutrients, just like food, real food, and clean water. So we need the healing energies found in sunlight just as much as we need food and water. But like I said, a lot of people, if they go out in sunshine at all, they're slathering on, in many cases, very toxic sunscreens. They become toxic when they get exposed to sunshine. So carcinogenic even. You can get safe zinc oxide, non-nanoparticle sunscreens that are safe, but you still want to get your minimum daily requirement of sunshine. So, and that depends on, where your ancestors are from and where you are on the planet and the time of year and the time of day, how much sun you need for your minimum daily requirement. And this is something that a lot of people are so perplexed by. It's like, oh, do I need 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour? Yes, yes, and yes. Depends on where you're from, where you are on the planet, and what time of day it is. Certain times of the year, you're not going to get enough. It's UVB typically that is creating the vitamin D response in the body, which is a very important hormone. UVB can, together with UVA, creates even more vitamin D. And I emphasize the fact that it's a hormone. It's very important because sometimes people think, well, I can just, take a pill, right? Why do I need to get sunshine? I can just take a pill. So UV is not the only frequency found in sunshine that is very important for the body. And that was another thing, because when I started teaching about all of this, the UVB thing and vitamin D connection was just starting to get out there. People were just starting to learn about the importance of UV. But then a lot of people were like, well, sun's going to give me cancer, so let me take a pill instead. It's like taking an artificial hormone to do something that the body is designed to do. And the body is designed to create copious amounts of vitamin D when you get sun exposure on your skin without sunscreen. So we are like, squirrels. The sun only is high enough in the sky, depending on where you are on the planet. Some places it is year round, but in a majority of the planet, it's only high enough in the sky during the spring, summer, sometimes into fall months. So you have to get sun on your body while the sun is shining, literally, and you're able to create that vitamin D, because then your body will create huge amounts of vitamin D. And we live off that during the winter months. So we actually store it away, just like squirrels that store away their nuts. And then you live off of that vitamin D during the winter months. So you don't need to ever be taking any pills or supplements or vitamins or stuff. Yeah, it's all unnecessary. It's all just, making very expensive urine. Of course, but vitamin D does, if you are, the majority of people now, like around the planet, it's not just in the United States, but there are very high percentages of people that are very vitamin D deficient. So, and now you're starting to hear, they're finally started making this connection with, the coronavirus, COVID-19, that, if your vitamin D levels are low, guess what? You're much more likely to get sick. It's like, hello, yeah, this is not new news. You're more likely to get sick from anything, but your immune function goes way down. So thinking in terms of, chemistry and hormones again, because that's the way a lot of people are conditioned to think in terms of chemistry and hormones. So yes, if your vitamin D levels are low, you are much more likely to get sick and not be able to recover from something. So, but again, it's like now everybody's like, well, this is how many pills you should take. No, go get sunshine. Don't stop taking all the pills. It's like, get outdoors. Go out in nature. So going out in nature and getting sunshine is much more healthy than getting sunshine, for example, in the middle of New York City. So it's not just the sunshine. It's not just these frequencies that are coming from sun, which are very healing. But if you're in the middle of a city and you're getting sunshine versus being out in nature and getting sunshine, in nature, you're getting all those healing energies, that life force energy. It's got different names in different cultures: chi, prana, ki, life force energy in English. So it has different names, but it's all that same thing. It's the thing that distinguishes you, Jo, from sitting here talking to me, being alive, as opposed to Jo laying on a slab, dead, or, no life force energy. And Western medicine doesn't distinguish between the two. It's like, oh, well, we can study cadavers and we can do research on ex vivo tissue where you cut it out of the body and you analyze things happening in the cells outside of the body. It's like, it's not living tissue. It's like a piece of dead flesh. So you need to have, it's part of an integrated whole. So it's kind of like taking out a piece of wiring out of your wall to analyze, why is my circuitry and why is this light not working? Well, let me take out a chunk of wire out of the wall and look at that. Looks fine to me. It's kind of like, put it back in the wall and then see how the circuit is working. So anyway, that's analogous to basically how they study the body, the human body. by thinking that we're just a bunch of pieces and parts. We are energy, and energy is what holds us together, and energy is what circulates and makes me be able to sit here and talk at you for long sentences. Anyway,
depending on the coffee intake.
Wait, what?
Depending on your coffee intake.
Oh, no, no, God, no. I have so much energy. Yeah, I love coffee, but I can only have 1 cup of coffee a day. And that's why I do my, freshly ground organic pour over method. So I get 1 really, really flavorful cup of coffee. And I've only had like a few sips of it so far. So this is how I get up in the morning, and I go all day long. I've just like got it, and again, that's normal. When you have like your life force energy gas tank is topped off, you just have this abundance of energy. So yeah, that's normal for me. And I can talk for hours, as many people will tell you. Go. I've given talks like literally several hours long, and then done it, a couple more hours of Q&A afterwards. And like, people are like, where do you get all this energy? I don't know. You have a lot of life force energy. So, what was I going to say? Yeah. So the getting sunshine by itself is not enough. And that's what all the other light therapy devices out there, they're just trying to give you these individual frequencies of light that, the research study says this does this or whatever. It's like, none of those devices will work, or they won't have much benefit or anything except for, treating your skin and stuff like that. Some superficial things. They won't do very much for you, because they talk about stimulating the mitochondria. But if you don't have the gas, the life force energy inside, they're not making energy out of nothing. They're basically redirecting the energy that's in the system to go to the cells, to make the cells start working the way that they're supposed to. But if you don't, like I said, if you don't have gas in your car, it doesn't matter how much you like degunk the tubes or make it look nice on the surface. You're not going anywhere. You're still not going anywhere. So you have to put the energy in. So that's why people are so frustrated often when they buy those things. And they're like, I want it to, I've got cancer. I've got hormonal imbalance. I've got all these things. I don't just have, like a problem on my skin, or like a wound that I want to heal, and sometimes they don't even do that. So anyway, the Rejuvenator, that's my product. It literally heals at the root of illness and disease. So anything that people are using it for, it heals and brings you back into balance, even long-standing chronic illness and brain dysfunction and all kinds of things. Because again, it's not just taking the healing energies found in sunlight, it's also taking the healing energies found in nature that are the vitally important part. So I was going to explain to you about the frequencies in sunlight. So this is my little image that I use, because when we see a rainbow in the sky, these colors that we see in the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, those are always in sunlight. It's just that you don't see them split up like this unless it has just rained, or you're spraying a hose in the air or whatever, and you see the rainbow. But so this is, if you remember the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon album, where it's got Newton's prism on there that shows white light coming into a prism that then splits up into all the spectral colors. So that's what's happening when you get the rainbow effect. It's all these water droplets that are left in the atmosphere. The white light from the sun comes through, and it splits up through the little water droplets left in the air, reflects and refracts through those water droplets, and it splits up into these 7 spectral colors. But like I said, these are always in there. When you combine all of these colors together, it forms white light. So, actually all you need to form white light is red, green, and blue, RGB, which is what all of our LED screens are made with, red, green, and blue. And you can make all the colors and like a combination of those colors that can create the other ones. But these are naturally forming colors that are coming from sunlight, the actual frequencies that correlate with these colors. So frequencies, like nanometers is a common term that's used to tell you the wavelength, the length of the wave of the color, and the number correlates to the color. So, numbers in the 600s are usually red. the red colors, all the, 600 to 700-ish. Those are going to be all colors of red, shades of red. So they varies differently. But then below the visible spectrum, we've got infrared, meaning under the red. So it goes red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Infrared means below red, because physicists are pragmatic and they're not very creative when they name things. They just name them, here, it's below red, let's call it infrared. And above violet is called ultraviolet, UV, right? So it's invisible. Infrared and ultraviolet are invisible. And then we've got, to break it up even further, we have near infrared, mid infrared, and far infrared, meaning near is closer to the red, mid is a little bit further away from the red, and then far infrared is farther away from the red. So they do very different things in the body. So people get very confused, because it's like, well, red, infrared must all be the same thing, right? Mid infrared, near infrared, far infrared. And they're like, it sounds the same to them, but they don't. It's like, really, they could have called it apples, elephants, and tangerines. I mean, like, that's how different they are, like what they do. So near infrared is a sequence of wavelengths that when you shine it on the body, it gets absorbed by the cells, not just the water. So the cells absorb those frequencies. Instead of like mid and far infrared don't get absorbed by the cells, they get immediately absorbed by the water in the body. So when you hear about infrared saunas, those are mid and far infrared, because that's thermal infrared. So it creates heat in your body because it gets absorbed not by the cells but by the water. So it's creating like a microwave effect in the body. So when people put food in a microwave, if you've ever tried this, if you put a bowl of flour in the microwave, it won't do anything. You might break the bowl because there's no water in the flour. The water is what the microwaves absorb. They get absorbed. The water absorbs the microwaves, and it creates this agitation in the water molecules, and that's what creates the heat. So it's the same thing with infrared, mid and far infrared. The frequencies get absorbed by the water in the body, and they create heat from inside the body. And then that's what makes you sweat. The problem with that, though, is that a lot of times people are really out of balance and they have too much heat in their bodies already. So I hear this all the time. It's like, I have this infrared sauna and I started getting a rash, or I started sweating at night, or I started having these problems, like, or whatever. That all indicate it's like they have excess heat in their body already, and now they're putting more heat into the body, and they're thinking, well, this must be a detox reaction, and this itchiness or whatever, and they might get some benefit from it, but they get all these negative things. So it actually will throw them out of balance even more. So that's one of the things. It's like, not everything that gets sold and marketed out there is actually good for everyone. So that's one of the things that finally I was like, and seeing so many products that were coming on the market that were poorly designed, or they're using such strong, intense light, like thinking that some is good, a huge amount more must be better, and emitting high levels of EMF and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not getting any better. I would be like, I'm happy to tell people about a product that actually works, but because people that were designing they weren't designing them, actually. They were just like taking industrial plant grow lights and rebranding them. That's what you're still seeing a lot of them on the market, are these super intense, brightly powered industrial plant grow lights that are designed for growing plants. And then the whole industry, when the marijuana industry really started taking off, that's when there was a lot of research that went into using light for plants. So there are lots of these products out there that are designed for growing plants, and you want to blast those with lots of sun, because plants are designed to be like out under the sun and getting blasted with constant sunshine for copious amounts of time. So, and that is good for plants, not good for you as a human being. So that's where, again, you'd see people that are getting like really like thrown out of balance by using these things. They're like, oh my God, this thing actually made me feel worse. So that was where 3.5 years ago, I finally said, okay, this is getting bad. So I did not want to manufacture or sell a product. I just wanted to teach people about the importance of getting sunshine and the fact that all of these, not just the UV, which was, like I said, just starting to get out there, but the UV vitamin D connection, but also, so not just the invisible stuff, and then the infrared, which people were just starting to hear about, because the infrared thing had been around for a while with using these infrared pens that, you would put on your knee or thing. But most people were just, well, that's got to be woo, that doesn't even make sense. But but people were not paying any attention to this part here, the visible colored wavelengths that all had these healing benefits. And the research had been around since the turn of last century. I mean, Niels Finsen in 1902 won the Nobel Prize for medicine for his research about red light for treating smallpox, and I believe it was tuberculosis of the bones. So anyway, it was like validated way back then. And, in ancient China, they used to use red light for healing smallpox scarring because they would put people out in the sun that had the smallpox, and they would put a red silk scarf over them so it would filter out the other frequencies, the other wavelengths, and the red would come through, and then that would heal the skin. So again, this research has been around, even the scientific research as early as 1902, and then in the 1960s, when the first lasers came out, Andre Mester discovered that, these red lasers actually accelerate healing in the skin, and they make your hair grow. So this stuff had been around for a very long time, but nobody was giving it any credence or paying any attention to it because it was too much of a disconnect from the whole chemistry approach to healing versus the physics approach. So, and the majority of people don't remember, well, the electromagnetic spectrum that you may have studied in elementary school or high school, in your physics classes. So basically I broke all that complex science down, made it really simple, and connected it with real world experience, and explained how color and light are synonymous. You can't have color without light. Like, you would not be able to see my painting back here if it were dark in this room. The darker it gets, color goes away. Everything would turn into shades of gray until it's like pitch black. So color is taking a light source and reflecting it onto a colored surface that then absorbs all of the wavelengths, frequency. Wavelength and frequency are just two different measurements for the same thing. So it absorbs all the ones except for the color that it is, which then reflects back. So this bottom part, which is blue, it's absorbing all the other frequencies except for the blue, and then it's reflecting that back to your eyes. So you can't have color without light. You cannot have light without color in it, because white light, which is what, Edison's incandescent bulbs, fluorescent bulbs, LED bulbs, any artificial light source that is a white light bulb has to have a minimum of red, green, and blue. You cannot have white light without those three base colors. So the other thing that I started teaching about was, tablets were just coming on the market back then, and people, what I kept hearing is that people were having insomnia. They just got a new iPad, and now everybody's having insomnia. Not with the Kindle e-ink technology wasn't causing this problem because they were not backlit screens. The e-ink technology that's used in the earlier Kindles, that's like reading a page on a book. It's a contrast of, light gray background with dark, not ink, e-ink, but like dark letters. So there was no backlighting from that. So there was no LED screen in the Kindles. So the Kindles were not causing this problem. The iPads were the first tablets that were coming out that were broadly being purchased, and people were starting to have insomnia. And they're like, because I dig when I find out stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm hearing over and over again, people are like having a hard time sleeping now. So I started digging into the technology. How are these LED screens made? And they are made with red, green, and blue. And there's a predominance of blue. And I had already known about the problem, the fact that we have these blue light photoreceptors in our eyes. Again, nobody knew about it. This was all brand new research back then too. It had only been around for a few years. So this, I'm digging into all these research, peer-reviewed research studies and learning about all this stuff. So these blue light photoreceptors in our eyes that are attuned to a certain frequency range of blue into blue-green, that when you see that color, that color of light, it sends a message to your brain. It goes to the pineal gland, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is your body clock. And it says, oh, it's the middle of the day, shut off melatonin production, because that range of blue corresponds to the blue in the sky here during the daytime. So, and the reason that the sky is blue, in the morning, when the sun is coming up, kind of like here, we're setting, when the sun is coming up, before it gets high in the sky, you've got the horizon, atmosphere around the earth, and horizon is over here. So when the sun is on the horizon, when the sun is on the horizon, it's coming through a thicker amount of atmosphere. So only the longer wavelengths are the reds, oranges, and yellows. Those can come through, but the shorter wavelengths of green, blue, indigo, violet, those get reflected off. They don't come through when the sun is low on the horizon. So as the sun comes up higher in the sky, now you start getting the shorter wavelengths coming through. And that's why the sky becomes blue then. So you get all of this blue in the sky, and then as the sun is setting, it turns orange, yellow, and red again. Yellow, orange, red. Where was I going with that? I forget. I was making a point about the blue sky. Oh yeah, the blue. So the reason that we have these blue light photoreceptors in our eyes is so that when you're out, when you're a caveman and you're out in the field and you're hunting, you don't want to be falling asleep in the middle of the day. So again, I connected all of this, data and science with why did we evolve this way? Why did we evolve so that we have these blue light photoreceptors in our eyes? Because, everything through natural selection, you're going to be able to pass on your gene pool if you're not out in the field falling asleep, where your predator that you're out there, you're supposed to be hunting, then comes and says, oh, look, there's a nice human being here sleeping, and I will have my nice tasty lunch now. Thank you very much, because you fell asleep in the middle of the day when I'm, like you're supposed to be hunting me, but now I'm going to hunt you and eat you. And then guess what? You don't get to have any children or pass on your gene pool. So anyway, all that to say that we evolved to have these blue light photoreceptors so that when you see blue light, your body says, oh, middle of the day, be wide awake. The problem is that our eyes cannot distinguish between the blue light coming from sunlight or the blue light coming from our LED screens. And LED technology has a high percentage of blue light that creates the brightness, so that when we see these screens, that we're getting bombarded with this blue light. So which is fine if you're far enough away from it, because blue light actually can harm the retinas. If you're far enough away and you're not getting bombarded with too much blue light, but the problem is that many people are in front of the screens for so long, so you want to not be bombarded with that blue light. But you don't want to be putting on blue light blockers onto your eyes, because that's another thing, that all these people started selling these blue light blockers. Oh, blue light is bad for you. Blue light is bad for you. It's going to harm your retinas. It's going to make you stay awake. You don't want to be seeing blue light at night, because that's the time when you should be getting sleepy. So you want to reduce your blue light exposure as the day goes on and as it becomes nighttime. You don't want to be wearing blue light blockers during the day, because you need blue light to set your circadian rhythm. Because if you don't get any blue light ever, your body's gonna be like, I don't know what time it is. I'm not. It's like nighttime all the time, as far as I know. I'm like sleepy all the time. I should be. So we need all of them. None of them are bad per se. They're anything in overdoing anything is always bad, and being exposed to certain frequencies at the wrong time of day is bad, especially the blue and blue green. So what you want to do now, again, back then there was no technology. The technology was not integrated in the phones. There were none of these night mode things. So after I had been teaching about this, and this is starting to spread, and people are hearing about the blue light, and like, oh, it's like, okay, well, you don't want to be looking at your phone screen, and you don't want to be looking at your computer at night because of this blue light. So the technology started changing so that now all the smartphones have blue light, like night mode. You can download programs, which I'd been talking about. This was already in existence back many years ago. Flux, it's a free app that you put on your computer, and it correlates with your time clock on your computer, so that as it gets later in the day, like as soon as the sun starts setting where you are on the planet, what it says on your clock has to be accurate on your computer, obviously, then it will start making your screen have less and less blue light emission. So it will start to turn this kind of like peachy rosy color. And it's very subtle unless you do it like when you go from bright blue white to this soft rosy peachy pink color, and your body just immediately goes, oh. So you can try that for yourself. It's called Flux, Flux. Most people have heard about it now, but when I started teaching about this, nobody was like, what is that? So anyway, there are these workarounds now. So, but I do not recommend wearing blue light blockers during the day because you need blue light. Wearing them at night is fine, but it's much better just to modify the lighting in your home. I mean, if you have the capability of doing that, now there are so many, I have a number of lights, LED multicolor lights that I have them programmed to turn on at certain times, and I change the color of the light depending on the time and what room it's in or whatever. And so I don't ever have blue white light exposure at night. Even in my bathroom, I have two sets of lights. The ones that are over the mirror are like daylight bulbs, and then the one over the sunken bathtub behind me is a yellowy bulb. So when I need to turn on the light at night, I don't turn on the daylight bulbs over the mirror. I just turn on the yellow bulb. So it's not waking me up because I'm not getting that stimulation from the blue light, which is then immediately telling your body it's the middle of the day, shut off melatonin production. So anyway, like I said, there are lots of workarounds. And a lot of times people are like, oh, LED technology is bad for you. It's like, no, it's not. It's actually really good for you, and it's very good for the planet. You have these people that are, these in their dinosaur mentality, they don't understand that, no, technology, the Edison bulbs, yes, they have all of the colors in them, but they also have blue light. Any white light has blue light in it. So people are like, oh, the old incandescent bulbs are much better for you. You can take LED and do whatever you want with it. You can have it put out whatever spectral, range that you want it to. So if you have white light, you can change it to warm light. You can change it to even warmer light. So again, cutting out more and more of that blue, you can change literally to just have your place illuminated with red light at night. So the problem with incandescent bulbs, the reason that they're so bad for the planet is because when Edison was trying to create a bulb that was going to be used for emitting light, his dilemma was that anything that gave off enough light to illuminate would burn the filament very quickly. So anytime you pushed into that visible light spectrum here, it was really easy to make infrared bulbs that are emitting just huge amounts of heat. And that's what you see, those chicken heat lamp bulbs that are used a lot in those infrared saunas. They have almost no near infrared and very little visible light. And they're made that way by design, because as soon as you start pushing into the visible light range, it burns out the filament very quickly. So the reason those chicken heat lamp bulbs will last for a long time is because they're very high wattage, but they're all over here. They're invisible and a tiny little bit of near infrared and even less visible red. So they don't give off a lot of light, even though they're 250 watt bulbs. Because if you had a white light that was 250 watts, you'd be like, blinded by how much light it's giving off. But so again, you need the visible light spectrum to actually provide illumination. So light by definition means this range here. sometimes you'll hear, and I'll even do it myself, UV light, but it's really not UV light. It's UV radiation, infrared radiation, because it's invisible. So it's not light by definition because it's not illuminating. But anyway, so once you push a bulb, an incandescent style bulb, which is the same as the chicken heat lamp bulbs are also incandescent. Once you push them into the visible light spectrum, it burns out the filament very quickly. So Edison had the challenge of trying to figure out what material could he use that wouldn't burn out so quickly when he would push it into the light spectrum, so that you could use these things to actually light up your room, because otherwise what use are they if they're not giving off light? So anyway, that was tungsten was the material that he ended up settling on, that he could actually, this, last. And also that incandescent bulbs do burn out very quickly. I mean, I don't know, it depends on the wattage, how much light they're giving off, and how long they last. So they compared to LED bulbs, which will last, sometimes 35,000, 50,000 hours, the incandescent bulbs are much shorter lived. But the bigger problem is that even with emitting that much light, they're wasting a huge amount of energy, because all of the heat that they give off in the infrared range, all of that is just wasted energy. So you're paying your electric bill, and that's how they used to call them 100 watts or 65 watts or 150 watts, because that's how much energy that bulb would take to light up. So you're paying for all of that energy. Most of it is being wasted in the form of heat. You're not going to be heating your house using your light bulbs. It's a really inefficient way to illuminate your house. So you're getting a little bit of light, but you're paying for all of that wattage, and most of it is just wasted energy. So that's why incandescent bulbs have been banned for the most part, because they are so bad for the planet, because you're wasting huge amounts of energy. So LED bulbs are much more efficient, and like I said, you can do whatever you want with them. The earliest LED white bulbs did give off a high percentage of blue light, because it's like evolving technology. They didn't know how to make them so that they could modify that. But now everything is adjustable, and they even have, there's just all this false information out there from people that don't understand the science. So, and they try to demonize things because they're selling something that is competing with that technology, or it's like they're very attached to those old archaic dinosaur ways or whatever it is. So anyway, so I break down the physics and I explain it so people can understand in plain, simple English, what the reality is. So I've been talking a long time. Do you have a question for me?
Have some coffee.
Yeah.
Leanne, I have got an echo somewhere in your house, have I?
An echo?
Yeah, when I speak, it seems to be distorted, no?
Oh, I don't hear an echo at all.
You
but
don't?
If you're hearing it, it's probably showing up on the recording. Is it only when I'm talking or when you're talking?
When I'm talking.
I don't hear it.
Okay.
I don't hear an echo. Yeah.
Perfect. That was absolutely fascinating. And so
I told you I could talk a long time, right? So you don't stop me. I'll just like blah 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 blah.
No, we're going to let you run.
Mm-hmm.
So this is absolutely fascinating. So I think we've all already decided that we need you to develop some kind of housing system that will sort our light systems out for us, and the colors and the times of day, and we can use this flux system somehow in with the lights. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I use systems that already exist because of the fact that I'm, and I've done consulting on how to do the programming and how to change the lighting to optimize, productivity and stuff like that. But I usually what I just told you is usually what I do. So I use there's I can't remember the name of the company, but there are lots of these RGB bulbs on the market. Like Philips Hue came out with one of the early versions of but they were like extremely overpriced. I mean, extremely overpriced. and everything has to be done from the app on your phone. Of course, now there are more and more of them. They have an app on the phone. They have like a, remote controls or whatever. So there are lots of them. You don't need to get the Philips Hue because they're just cost prohibitive. And there are so many now, you can get them and put them in your whole house and integrate them and program them, and it's really easy. They're very user friendly. So the most important thing is just understanding what frequencies or what colors you want at different times of day. And like I said, you just want to move into the non-blue colors, non-blue, non-green. You want to go into the red, oranges, and yellows as it gets later in the day. So the Rejuvenator, actually, because of the fact that it heals at the root of illness and disease, and it's got it's got a combination. The number 3 is the one that has a combination of red and near infrared. So it actually is stimulating the cells themselves, not heating up your body. It doesn't have any mid and far infrared that are, creating that. You don't want that sauna effect if you, especially if you have too much heat in your body, which a lot of people do. So it actually detoxifies the body, but you don't have to do that whole, miserable sweating thing. I mean, it detoxifies the body the way that we're supposed to. It actually dumps toxins from the cells, and then you poop them out. So it dumps them into the bowels, and then you pee and poop. Just like if you're doing a fast, like a juice fast, same kind of mechanism by releasing the toxins. But you have to then, make sure you're having lots of bowel movement, so you release those toxins. So we have a lot of people in the community that used to have severe Lyme disease symptoms, and Lyme, is a symptom of an underlying problem. It's not the problem itself, but it creates more symptoms because it's creating more toxicity in the body, and it's just the snowballing effect. So the Rejuvenator clears all of those toxins, and you don't ever have to get into a sauna to do that. And by the way, one thing I didn't mention, saunas have been used historically, for thousands of years. Yeah. They were not infrared saunas. They were hot rock saunas. Yeah. Very different technology. So, that's been tried and tested for thousands of years. Yeah. So even people that have a lot of heat in their body, you can go into a hot rock sauna, but your body's going to tell you, it's too hot. Like after 5 minutes, I have to get out. You're going to get a very clear message that you need to get out because your body's telling you. It's like, it's too hot. So a hot rock sauna is analogous to, your regular oven. If you want to bake a turkey, you take your turkey and you put it in the oven, and it bakes the turkey from the outside in, just like a conventional hot rock sauna will heat you from the outside in. So you have enough time to go, oh, wait a minute, too hot. Okay, I've had enough. Let me get out, because your body is like telling you, it's like too hot. Now go get into a cold plunge. And that's enough. That's all you need. The infrared saunas that are mid and far infrared, again, very little microscopic, tiny amount of near infrared, because a lot of them market them as being near infrared saunas, and people are like, oh, I'm going to get the near infrared, I'm going to get the cell stuff, and I'm going to get the, the detox stuff all at the same time. Very small amounts of near infrared and almost no visible red. When you go into those, like I said, that's like your microwave. So it's putting those, the infrared, mid and far infrared radiation deep into your body to get those water molecules moving, and that's what creates the heat. And then you sweat from the inside out. So you don't have the normal mechanism of your skin going, feels hot, because it doesn't feel hot on your skin. It feels like warm, but you get heated from the inside out, where you don't have those sensors to tell you it's like too much heat. So you do start seeing, usually within a week or so, is like starting having symptoms of too much heat in the body, like sweating at night, and then sweating during the day, and then feeling exhausted and depleted during the day, because you go very quickly from yin deficiency to qi deficiency. So it's literally making you worse. Not for everybody. Some people don't have too much heat in their body, so they're okay with it, or they tend to run cold. But a lot of people do have a lot of heat in their body because we live in a Western society and we have stress, and stress creates heat in the body, and it creates that blockage of energy. Anyway, so all that to say that, I forget what the point was again. The infrared, saunas are like the microwave effect, whereas the hot rock saunas are like your oven, cooking the turkey from the outside in. And we all know what it would taste like if you try to cook a turkey in a microwave. Rubbery, bleh. Food doesn't taste good when you try to cook it in a microwave. Usually, sometimes you can work with that technology to, optimize the results. But usually, an oven cooked meal tastes much better than a microwave cooked meal. Anyway, so do you want to see the Rejuvenator? Are you interested in seeing what it looks like? Okay, because I wanted to show you the red and the near infrared. So let me see if I can do this. So the visible reds, there are multiple visible reds, are the ones that actually look like they're lighting up. Here you can see them. The ones that look like they're not lighting up, I have to do it at an angle so you can actually see. These are actually near infrared, so they're invisible to the human eye. You can't see them with the human eye. Some animals can see near infrared and infrared in general, but you can't. So anyway, so this is the whole formulation, but this is not just the light component. There's also the additional quantum healing energies that are like getting the energy medicine treatment. So that's where people, it's like they put it, they feel it, or the very first time you look at it, it's like, you literally feel it. It's like that feeling you get in nature. So anyway, and it's 100% portable. So we have people that travel with them all the time, and it's like less than 3 pounds. So it's amazing. Oh, I started off to say that it's phenomenal for inducing deep sleep. So there's a sleep protocol that you use at night right before you go to bed, and it literally stimulates melatonin production and makes you sleepy. So even for people that have, like, they can't remember the last time they slept the whole night through, like sometimes the very first time they're like, oh my God, I woke up in the morning and I realized I didn't wake up. I didn't get up. I didn't wake up at all. And it's like shocking for them because it's been so long since they have slept the whole night through. Some people, elderly people, they tend to have very low melatonin levels. That melatonin levels decline. It's common, but it's not normal and it's not natural. It's just a very common phenomenon that when people, again, not getting enough sunshine during the day, and then your circadian rhythm gets out of balance and your body doesn't know if it's daytime or nighttime. So it's just like, okay, I'm just going to stop producing melatonin. And then melatonin is a very important hormone, not just for inducing sleep. It's a very important antioxidant in the body also. So it's very important for keeping cancer cells because everybody, we're always creating cancer cells in our body. Everybody, like, you get cancer cells and the body can kill them very quickly. But if your immune function is strong, the cancer cells cannot proliferate and turn into a tumor. If your immune function is weak, you have low melatonin levels, guess what? The cancer, and low vitamin D levels, then the cancer can proliferate very easily. So that's why all the latest research in cancer therapy has been for boosting the immune function. I mean, the stuff that actually works anyway. So, and that's what this does. So it boosts the immune response of the entire system, fills up that life force energy gas tank, and opens up the blocked energy channels so that when people are using it for treating cancer, it actually gets rid of the cancer. But it's not like, chemo and radiation. Think about, we have to kill the cancer. It's like, no, you have to strengthen the body so it kills the cancer the way it's supposed to, Anyway, lots of kind of backwards things in Western medicine because of the fact that it is it's a chemistry-based medical model, and it's chemistry-based because pharmaceuticals are designed to try to manipulate that chemistry. So they're trying to make chemical changes in the body or block chemical things happening in the body. It doesn't ever heal anybody. All it does is create more problems, because as soon as you start taking one drug or pharmaceutical, it creates more symptoms that then you have to take another drug or pharmaceutical to control those symptoms that have come from the first drug. And then it's a snowballing thing. And then all of those drugs are creating more toxicity in the body. And that's causing a quagmire effect where the energies cannot circulate. So it becomes more and more out of balance instead of healing you. They're not designed to heal you. They're designed to, so you get sicker and sicker and sicker, and you need more and more pills. It's very clever. I mean, it's made that way by design. So, big pharma makes a lot, I mean, billions and billions, trillions of dollars off of selling all these medications. And people keep taking them because they believe what their doctor is telling them. It's like, oh, or they see a commercial. It used to be illegal for pharmaceutical companies to advertise on television. And then, when the Bush administration was in, second one, they made it legal. So now you could advertise pharmaceuticals. So people, they see these things, ask your doctor about blah, blah, blah. It will do this. And then the side effects portion is more than half the commercial. It may cause blah, 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 blah. You may die. You may lose your vision. You may go blind. Yeah. Things may stop working. You might have body parts falling off. I mean, so but people still then go to their doctor. It's like, doctor, I heard about this new drug that's going to do this. So you don't need all of that. You need the healing energies of nature or the rejuvenator. That's why it's healing. So it heals literally everything. But get out. If you don't want to, get more and more out of balance, go out in nature and get the healing energies in nature and sunshine. And if you can't do that, I mean, figure out a way that you can take more frequent vacations and do that, or anyway. But that's really what is kind of missing from a modern lifestyle now. Is a lot of people are just not getting those healing energies that they need. So that was why when I created the rejuvenator, it's like, well, it has to be, you have to get not just the sunlight part, you also have to get the energy medicine component. So otherwise you're only addressing about a third of the issue, not even, less than a third. Because like I said, getting sunshine in the middle of New York City is not going to provide a huge amount. I mean, it's going to provide some benefit, but all the negative stuff you're getting from being in the middle of New York City is going to counteract that benefit from the sunshine. Better than nothing, but yeah, go out and get in nature. Did that answer your question? Did you have a question? The thing I started to say about the rejuvenator, it's also one of the, I mean, not only because people keep doing their treatments while they're traveling, and we're just like a cell phone. So you get depleted. So you want to keep your life force energy charged up. So that's why even after people have completely healed whatever it is that they were working on, it's like, I just keep doing the treatments, you don't have to do them every day, but it's like charging up your battery. So if you have a stressful week, you're going to oh, it feels amazing. And I designed it so you can use it while you're multitasking. So, I could be doing a treatment right now. I could be treating the bottoms of my feet, or I could be treating anywhere on my body. And it's designed to be used right against the body, as opposed to a lot of the other light therapy devices that put out very high EMF levels. This is close to zero EMF. So you're not getting any of the harmful aspect, and you can put it directly against your body. We have all kinds of, medical practitioners, nurses, whatever, that use it on their newborn children, like babies. I have some really cute pictures on Instagram, babies that are getting their treatments, with the unit right against them. So healing all kinds of, intestinal things that are very common with infants. And instead of taking the drugs that the doctor prescribed, like Zantac, it's like, oh, the baby's now no more digestive problems, in one treatment. So yeah, I mean, can you imagine already putting your infant on pharmaceuticals at that age, and how much detriment there's going to be? And anyway, so you don't have to do that. I started to say about the sleep thing. So one of the other benefits for traveling with it is that it treats jet lag with a single treatment. So it resets your circadian rhythm to the new time zone instantly with one treatment. Anyway, so what other questions do you have?
That's more what it does, because this is absolutely fascinating. This is the thing. I've come from a nursing background, and I was never one for pharmaceuticals anyway, always preferred natural stuff. And here you are telling us of even more amazing benefits that nature can do. So tell us about your rejuvenate and how you've managed to put it into a device. You've captured nature and you've put it into a device. And what else can it do? What other benefits? Teach us so that we know.
Well, like I said, I mean, the list, ask me I mean, I always talk in real world results. So, I mean, from anything from pain, inflammation, you know, you have diagnoses in Western medicine called fibromyalgia, which basically means you have pain everywhere in your body and we don't know why. That's what fibromyalgia means. So that, because again, when you have a blockage in the meridian system, when the flow of energy is not able to flow, it's kind of like the analogy I use. Well, I have a few different ones, but one that, if you have a watering hose outside, like in your garden, you've got your garden hose and you want to water your nice rose bush out in your garden in the pot. So you turn on the hose a little tiny bit, and then you take your hose and you go to the rose bush and there's almost no water coming out. And you're like, okay, what's going on here? You're like, oh, okay. First of all, I didn't turn up the faucet enough, but the other big problem is that I've got like 3 giant kinks in my hose. So even if I had the water turned up, I've got these kinks in my hose, so no water can come through. So by the time you go to water your rose bush, there's like drop, drip, drip, drip. That's kind of what a lot of people are dealing with, because they have very low life force energy. They have like low volume of life force energy, and then they have these blockages, these kinks in their hose. So they start off getting pain maybe in the shoulder, and then it goes down to the wrist, or, you know, like it can be pain in the back, and then it's a snowballing effect. So you get one kink, and then that, where the kink is, everything downstream from there is not getting the energy that it needs. So that, where you have the kink and downstream, that is like a deficiency of energy. So it creates pain. It creates the muscles either are super seized up or they're flaccid. They're not firing the way that they're supposed to. So then you end up getting injuries like shoulder, you know, like you might have done something 1,000 times. You pick up something, you know, it's only a 5-pound thing, and you've done it 1,000,000 times, and one day you pick it up and then you tear your rotator cuff because the muscles on either side of the shoulder joint are not one side or the other isn't working, or both, and the shoulder goes out of alignment, and then you don't have that protection of the joint being in the socket properly, so you can tear a tendon or ligament, or, you know, tear the meniscus in your knee, or tear the ACL, the ligament in the knee. So any of those injuries, the root of it is that the energy wasn't getting to that area in the first place, which then makes it more susceptible to injury. So the rejuvenator not only opens up all the kinks in the hose, it also turns up the volume on the faucet. So now you're getting a lot more of that life force energy, and it's able to get through and go to the areas where there was pain and inflammation. Many times there isn't an actual injury of tissue yet. So, but people will still have all that pain because everything is seized up. So it opens everything up, and the energy can then flow through, and the whole body goes, the muscles start working. So we have all kinds of people that's like, I just could not build muscle. I would work out and I couldn't, like my muscles would just stay, because they're not getting the energy that they need. It doesn't matter how many, bicep curls you do, you have to put the energy there so the muscle can respond. So it accelerates muscle growth also. But anyway, so for a joint injury, like if there hasn't been an injury, those things, we have people that are like, oh my God, like within a week, I've been in pain every single day for like 20 years. And now the pain is all gone. And it's like, I can't believe I just never imagined that I would be free of pain. People that have had migraines every single day, and not even trying to treat those things, treating something else or doing their facial treatments. And it's like, my migraines are gone. I used to have them every single day, and now they're just suddenly gone because it's opening up those blocked energy channels, filling up the life force energy gas tank. And in the case where you do have an injury, whether it's injured skin or eczema, psoriasis, or anything on the skin or in the joints, torn ACL, torn meniscus, torn rotator cuff, heals those tissues. Broken bones also accelerates bone healing. So I like to tell the story of the 90-year-old woman who's now 92. But yeah, a couple of years ago, she fell on her shoulder and broke her humerus, this bone, in 2 pieces, like 2 distinct pieces. In older people, bones typically never heal. They just don't have enough of that life force energy, and they have so many kinks that the energy just doesn't get there. So what they end up doing in elderly people is they usually have to do some kind of fusion surgery. They put in a metal plate. They'll fuse, for an upper arm, they'll fuse the bone to the clavicle, and then the person can never raise their arm any more than this ever again for the rest of their life. So I had her doing, 20-minute treatments once a day. The Rejuvenator treatments are only 20 minutes long. The 20 minutes is because that's the time that it takes for the additional quantum healing energies, the energy medicine component, to circulate the energy body. Because a lot of times people will treat pain somewhere, and it's like after 5 minutes the pain is gone. I'm like, do the full 20 minutes, because then you're going to treat the root of the problem, not just treat the symptom where the pain is, because you want to get that full circulation. Or you can do longer than that. Sometimes people are like, oh my God, it feels amazing. I'm going to do 40 minutes or an hour or whatever. So I had her do 20 minutes a day right on the injury site. And every week and a half, she was going back to her doctor to get another x-ray to assess, is it healing? And he's like, oh, healing. Keep doing whatever you're doing. He didn't even ask her. He didn't, like most of them, they don't even want to know. They're just like, well, keep doing what you're doing. And so at 4 weeks, she goes in to get her x-ray, and he's like, okay, the bone is healed. It's completely set. Now you can take it out of the sling and start doing mobility exercise because, if it's been immobilized for that long, the muscles you're not working the muscles. So we started doing mobility exercise and getting her muscle strength back. At 4 weeks, if you have never had a broken bone, or you don't know anybody that has, the minimum time for healing a bone is 6 to 12 weeks. And that's for a young, very healthy person. Yeah. 6 to 12 weeks. So for a bone of this size that's broken, not fractured, broken in 2 pieces, like it was 2 pieces. I have the x-rays. So it's completely set in 4 weeks. So that's phenomenal. I mean, in a 90-year-old. So it does all of that. And again, it's not just treating the bone directly, it's treating the life force energy, filling up that gas tank, and opening up the blockages in the energy channels all at the same time. So that's where you see, and these are not unusual. We've had a bunch of other people, just not as old, that have healed broken bones and, broken foot bones in like 2 weeks, that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, everything. I mean, cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. One of the exciting ones for me, because one of our Rejuvenator community members, I say community members because I have a group where everybody who gets the Rejuvenator gets to join my private, members only, ongoing healing and support community, and it's free. It's 100% free, and you get free personalized one-on-one guidance and support, and you also get access to all of these. So this is where everybody shares their healing stories right in the community, because if I told you, you wouldn't even believe half of them because they're so remarkable. So you get to hear from the horse's mouth, Mary Sue in Idaho, or Pierre in Paris, or whoever it is, like sharing their healing results in the group, and like, this is what I did, and this is how fast it resolved, and now I'm like, I've got my life back. I've had people that had been bedridden with stroke for a year, and within a week they're up and like they've got their life back, and amazing things. But we also have, because then people are like, oh, placebo effect, it's just suggestion, but we have hundreds of people's pets that have healed from all kinds of stuff. And pets, cats and dogs, because a lot of people have cats and dogs. I have so many pictures that people have shared in the community as soon as they get the Rejuvenator, and other times as well. But they'll be like, I turned it on and my cat or my dog was like right on top of it, because they're like, get out of the way. It's like, and I tell them, it's like your pet needs the treatment too. So after you're done, leave it on for your cat or dog, or let them, or sometimes they'll do treatments together, they'll treat themselves and the cat or dog will be. But I have like tons of pictures where it's like, I turned it on, I went to make myself a cup of tea and I came back and my dog was like, right over here, the cat's laying on top of it. So they know when they need it. And again, like infants, children, healing. I mean, we've had these amazing healing stories of pets and infants, and what are you going to tell your dog here? This is going to help you, and just believe it, and that's going to work. So it's like, it's actually working. So it's not just the suggestion aspect. But yeah, so the story that I was going to tell is Peggy in the community was talking about the fact she got a rejuvenator because her granddaughter had been in a car accident, and the seatbelt caused a hernia in her abdomen, and it was a very dangerous hernia. And the doctors said, well, she's overweight, so we can't operate because it's too dangerous to operate, but it's also really dangerous to leave the hernia there. So she got it for treating the hernia for her granddaughter, and her granddaughter had Down syndrome, pretty severe. And when she started, her teachers had been saying, we're really concerned about her because her cognitive function is so poor, and she's not remembering things, and she's, doing so poorly in all of her classes. And so when she told me that, I said, well, you're going to be treating her abdomen, which is going to control cognitive function. Also, if you want, try this out, treat her head directly, and let me know what happens. And she started treating, and she wasn't treating every day because she only had her granddaughter a couple days a week. So she would treat whenever she would have her over. And she said within the first few weeks, she started, she was asking, her speech patterns improved dramatically. So she was already able to express herself more clearly. So she was able to articulate. And then she said one day, because she would email me with these updates, and she would and then I'd post them in the group, and she'd be, so she started asking to do things that she had never done before. Like one day she was in the bedroom with her grandmother, and she said, Grandma, can we make the bed? And she said, yeah. She said, yeah, I'll come back. I have to go do something in the kitchen. I'll come back in a few minutes and I'll help you. So she goes to the kitchen. She'd never wanted to make the bed before, never had any desire to do it. She comes back a few minutes later, she's already made the bed by herself. She's like, this was remarkable. And then she starts getting reports from school. Now the teachers are like, she's getting a 4.0 in all of her classes, and she's now on the principal's list, the same as the dean's list, but for and they're like, now they're talking about putting her in a mainstream school. So those kind of things are really, I just love hearing those stories because it's really life-changing. I mean, for not just people that have chronic illness, but for people that have had, problems from, birth. So, but yeah, so everything is everybody gets to hear these stories firsthand from other people. Then I got her, it's like, here, post these in the group, put them right in the group. So nobody's going to believe me if I put it in there. So she then would come in the group and post them in the group. So everybody gets access to that, and then people can ask questions. So they get free, ongoing guidance. It's like, here, this is what I need to treat. So from this is the root of the problem. You're going to want to do this protocol. There are a handful of protocols. Here, do this protocol and that one. You don't need to treat the whole body with the rejuvenator. With all the other lights, you need to treat. If you want to do anything with any of the cells, you have to put it every single place on your body. With the rejuvenator, you just do targeted treatment, so you don't need to treat everywhere. So one rejuvenator. So we have one. What I often have is where people a married couple will get one, and they're like, oh, we're going to share. We're going to get one, and we're going to share. And I'm like, okay, perfect. It's all you need. You just need one unit. And then within a couple of weeks, they're like, we need to order another one because we keep fighting over who's turn it is. So it's like, I want to do the sleep program. No, I'm going to go to bed, and I want to stay up and watch this movie. And so I designed it so, like I said, you can do multitasking. You can watch television or be working on your computer or reading a book. You can be doing your treatments that way. But if you both want to go to sleep at the same time, you can't both do the sleep protocol at the same time. you need one. So that's very common. I see that. And then I have people that lend their units to their friends or family members, and then they're like, give me my unit back. I need my rejuvenator, because they can't get it back, because then they're like, give it back to me. So then they're like, here, buy your own, borrow mine. So again, that's how it spread. So I've never spent a dime on advertising. It's all my customers that spread the word, and I don't pay anybody to do that. I don't have an affiliate program, so I don't ever pay people to promote them, or I don't do coupon. I don't have any of these marketing gimmicks. It's Same price every day of the year. If you need it today, if you don't need it, wait, when you need it. Or, most people need it right now because most people are so deficient. But anyway, so it's very full transparency marketing, and I don't do any of these, hurry up and use the coupon and because it's going to expire. So I don't ever pressure people. It's like, if you want it, I have it. We've got some here, you can order them. So, we ship hundreds of units every month all around the world. So we have literally customers everywhere, like lots in Australia. I have some in South Africa, a lot in, well, relatively speaking, there are a fair amount in, I have some in Abu Dhabi. Doesn't your sister, where's your sister? Is she in Abu Dhabi?
No, I'm in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I know. Oh, your sister is still in South Africa. Yeah. So, but I do have other customers in Abu Dhabi and other Far East and Middle East and Asia. I mean, everywhere. They're everywhere. South America, lots in North America, obviously. Yeah, pretty much everywhere. Anyway, and it's all
where can people find Rejuvenate?
Oh, good question. On my website, catalyticcolor.com. CATALYTIC, catalytic, COLOR color.com, catalyticcolor.com. So, yeah, and there's lots of information. I have lots of videos. If people go to my YouTube channel, there are lots of videos I have a ton of videos that I haven't even put on YouTube yet, but I have a lot of videos on YouTube that you can learn more about this, that I break down the science so you can get visuals and slideshows and stuff like that. On my YouTube channel. A lot of them aren't on my website yet. I do have some of them on my website, but you can also go to my YouTube channel and get all the latest stuff. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Because what's that? My YouTube channel, if you just type in my name, Leanne Venier. Let's see. Leanne, Leanne, V as in Victor, Enier. And that's the same name that I have on all my social media. So Instagram is at Leanne Venier. My Facebook is at Leanne Venier. Twitter at Leanne Venier. Anything else? LinkedIn, Leanne Venier. So Leanne, V as in Victor, Enier. And then Catalytic Color, like I said. There's a lot of other stuff. Because catalyticcolor.com, I started as a website, just an information sharing website. So there's a huge amount of information on there. It's not just like for selling the Rejuvenator, because sometimes people are like, oh my God, you go to your website, there's like so much information. They can spend hours like reading the post and watching videos. But there's a lot more of the videos on my YouTube channel that are not yet on my website, just because I've been busy with I spend most of the time helping people in the community. Plus, we now have a certification training program where I'm training people, a lot of medical doctors, other healing practitioners, and lay people that are in my certification training program. It's an apprenticeship training program. So they're learning about all of this stuff so that they can help themselves and also help their patients or help their family members or whoever to understand how to do this full healing at the root of illness and disease. But we have the community for that gives people the one-on-one personalized support. But a lot of times people are like, I want to understand really how all of this works. So I'm basically taking all of my Eastern medicine training, my decades of other, alternative healing modalities, training and experience, and packaging it in a more condensed form so you don't have to spend, decades learning all this stuff, and using the Rejuvenator as the main healing modality, but also understanding the importance of diet, nutrition, and diet and nutrition from an Eastern medicine perspective, where an energy perspective, the energetic aspect of the foods, not just the chemistry aspects of the food. So for example, why do you, sweat at night after you've had several glasses of wine? Because wine, even if you're drinking cold white wine, is extremely warming in the body, so things like that. Hot peppermint tea is very cooling in the body. Even though it's hot when you're drinking it, it has a very cooling effect. So these, understanding the energy component of the foods and also the energy channels that each food targets. So certain foods have, target certain energy systems. So for example, spleen and stomach energy, which is all about digestion. When people have a hard time losing weight, usually they have weak spleen and stomach energy. And spleen and stomach energy is about assimilating the nutrients from the foods as well as transforming fluids. So if you get, like, you can't digest your food very well, you feel bloated afterwards, you gain weight, you have any cellulite. Cellulite is like a toxic buildup of a combination of heat in the body with the spleen and stomach energy not able to transform the fluids and also not able to assimilate nutrients from the food. So you get this toxic buildup, and then it turns into cellulite. In women, in men, it turns into a beer belly. And then people can diet all they want and they still can't lose weight. And they're just like, I keep cutting calories, but it's like, I can't lose this weight. But because it's not just fat, it's like the toxic combination of the fat, the toxins and the heat that turns into this kind of sludge that then bogs down the whole energy system, so the energy can't flow through, and it feels like this quagmire effect in the body, and you feel heavy and tired, and you eat and you feel bloated afterwards, and you just feel like you've got a rock in your belly. The understanding the foods that are going to benefit that, like, spleen stomach energy is benefited by, eating things like yams and sweet potatoes and potatoes, believe it or not. So, but not eating, like more heat forming foods. You don't want to put even more heat into the body. So for use saunas and stuff like that. So we people in the community get to learn all of that, and then people in the certification training program actually get to understand it, like in the big picture of that. They can then use it for helping others. So they answer questions in the group too. So it's my apprentices. Anyway, so it's all about paying it forward. It's all about giving more than you're like asking. Like, so put that healing energy out into the world, go out of your way to help others, and then that, magnifies that healing benefit out in the world. And then guess what? It comes back 100-fold back to you. So there's also, that's kind of like my underlying philosophy with everything. It's like, go out of your way to help others, and whenever you need help, it's going to be there in abundance. So, but you don't do it for the purpose of like getting a payback. You do it. It's like, here, I want to help people. So you go out of your way to help others. And it's amazing this, you put positive energy out, you get positive energy back. People that put negative toxic energy out, guess what? They get negative toxic energy back. So you get to choose. So that's another thing, I'm always teaching about. Everybody gets to choose. You get to choose whatever your reality is. And it really depends on what you put out into the world is what you're going to create and manifest for yourself. So that's another discussion. But do you have any more questions?
I have a million. I'm so delighted that you're going to be back with us week upon week, because we've got so much to talk about, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. There's lots of topics. Yeah. How to get into flow state, the zone at will, how to use that in your life, how to stimulate creativity, productivity. What are some of the other things that I teach? You have a list. We talked about it last time. I can read off the list. How to use color and light for healing, obviously. Healing energies of nature, sunlight. But yeah, so it's all about, everything that I teach about is about getting back into alignment with your core self. And why are you here? What's your purpose? What's your purpose? What's your passion? Why are you in this lifetime in the first place? What are you here to do? Because we all have a purpose. We all have something that we're here to do. And a lot of times people get off that path, and then they get, that's when the dis-ease starts to set in, and they start to get sicker and sicker. And it's because, it's like, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you get more and more, like, you feel like there's something missing. And I don't know what it is, but it's like when people start getting back into alignment, and that's one of the things that I teach in my Creative Flow training program, how to get back, like a technique that gets you into flow. And then you get all these insights. You're able to start communicating again with your intuition and hearing your intuition and hearing that right brain, the right brain versus left brain logical linear thinking, which is all about, okay, make a list. This is the good stuff. And this is what I want. This is what I need. This is, and it's like, no, you think you need that, but really this is what you need. So like, and your intuition always knows, your inner guidance always knows what exactly you need. But we've kind of gotten conditioned to no longer listen to that. And again, this all ties in with, getting disconnected from nature and not having that connection to our core selves. Like you said, when you go out into nature, you feel like you reconnect to yourself and you reconnect to the healing energies in nature, everything. I mean, we're all interconnected. So that's all stuff we can talk about another time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jo. This has been fun. How long did we talk?
It's been amazing.
Always hate to look at it.
Been about an hour and a bit, almost. We started about
an hour and a half. I think we started at 11:15-ish. Yeah.
We've had a question
That's not too bad.
on Facebook. Let's have a look here. We've got, I'm loving what you're saying about sunscreen. At last, someone who knows and thinks like me. And then we've got Natalie Joel, who says, but what about some of us who are very vitamin D deficient? We need supplements, don't we?
You need sunshine for sure. If it's in the winter months and you don't have exposure to sunshine, yeah, then you can take vitamin D, but your body will make copious amounts of sunshine naturally, like huge amounts. And you cannot overdose on the vitamin D that your body produces. You can overdose on artificial vitamin D, hormone D. So, that's why, but so many people are very deficient. So you can take a lot of vitamin D for, a certain period of time and then scale it back after you start to get your levels up. But if you're taking artificial vitamin D, you're going to want to get your blood checked on a regular basis because you don't want to go to the other extreme. You don't want to overdose. But it's so many people are so deficient. Yes, but you don't ever have to take the artificial vitamin D. Just go out and it's the perfect time of year right now. Well, I guess not everywhere on the planet, but getting sunshine is the way that your body is designed to naturally create vitamin D. So if you are from, if your ancestors are from a northern region like Norway, Sweden, Iceland, like somewhere where your hair is very blonde, your skin is very fair, your eyes are blue, you actually evolved on the part of the planet where there was not a lot of available sunshine. So that's why you have these very fair features, because when the sun is there, your body's designed to take in and suck up as much of it as it can in the short time that's available. And it will still produce the vitamin D that you need, but you have to get your minimum daily requirement of sunshine. But if you conversely are from somewhere on the planet that's much closer to the equator where the sun is always very high and very strong, then your skin and your hair and your eyes develop that way so that you are very dark skin, dark hair, dark eyes, because that creates a protection against too much sunshine. So you still need the sunshine on your skin to create the vitamin D, but your body has evolved in a way so that there's a protection so you don't it's not overdoing the vitamin D, it's overdosing and getting a burn. So your skin develops so that you have this anti-burn protection. You can still burn, obviously, but it makes it stronger protection than, somebody that evolved from Norway or Sweden, who's very blonde, blue-eyed, and fair-skinned. Now, take somebody from one of those northern regions and you put them close to the equator, they don't have the skin to tolerate that strong sun. So you still need your minimum daily requirement, but because your skin evolved to be, suck up as much of the sun as I can while it's there, down by the equator, your skin doesn't have that built-in protection. So, and it in many cases, people won't even build enough melanin to create protection against that because you didn't evolve that way. But you still need that minimum daily requirement. So you might need as little as 3 minutes if you're super fair skinned, but you're down there, but you still need that 3 minutes. And then you cover up and put on sunscreen, but you need that minimum. And then the next day you should be able to get a little bit more, but you may never be able to spend an hour out under that strong sun if your skin evolved for one of these northern regions. So again, it all depends on your skin, time of day, time of year, and where you are on the planet, how much that minimum daily requirement is. I'm half Italian, and half Slovak. So my mother and grandmother, on my Slovak side of the family, there was blonde hair, blue eyes, very fair skin. So my mother would burn quite easily if she didn't take her time to build up the melanin layers. My father was Italian, not dark skin. He was very white, but when he would tan, he would become very dark very quickly because his mother was from southern Italy, his father was from northern Italy. So he had a mix of two, again, different regions. So I have more of the Italian olive skin tone. But I can still burn. Like I remember when I was at university and on my first spring break, I went down to Florida. Oh my God. Like I was used to being able to lay out, I'm from Northern Ontario in Canada. And I was used to being able the very first day to be able to lay out, an hour, no problem. I tried to do that down there. The sun was so much stronger. I got so burned. I got like this blistered burn. It was awful. And it was like, what the, like I'd never burned like that before. Anyway, so having gone through that learning curve, I don't recommend you burn. And this is what it's very common. People in the UK are kind of notorious for because it's so cloudy there all the time, and they're like just craving sunshine. So they'll go somewhere tropical. They'll go on vacation somewhere where it's like this intense sun. And I've traveled a lot, and I see this happen so often because on the first day they're craving that sunshine, right? It's like you've been in the desert for a month and you barely, you're getting like a little drop of water every day and you're like, I'm so thirsty, please. And they like drink a 5-gallon jug of, water. And of course that's not good for you. So people from the UK, I see this, or from Northern climate, but for some reason it's like the UK, I see this over and over again. And they'll like after one day and they're like a lobster. They got so burned because they didn't ease into it, and they're used to the sun in the UK, which is not that strong, and then they go somewhere tropical, and the very first day it's like, oh, I should be able to lay out for an hour, and I'm like, this feels amazing, and then it's like, oh my God, I'm like, they can't walk because they're like so burned. Anyway, so you have to understand what your minimum daily requirement is. So the basic rule of thumb is like once you start turning pink, like then you're done. You're done. That's your minimum. So like I said, if you're fair skinned and you're near the equator, 3 minutes, it could even be 1 minute. I mean, it really depends. If it's the middle of the day and the sun is up super high, you might start turning pink within the first couple minutes that you're out. And then you're like, okay, that's enough. Let your body assimilate that. It's going to start producing vitamin D immediately. And you will create a reservoir. We create huge amounts of vitamin D when the sun is shining. And then during the winter months, like I said, you're going to live off that like the squirrel that is hiding its nuts all around. It's like you've got this reservoir of vitamin D, and you live off that during the winter months. So you don't ever have to take supplements. To boost up your vitamin D levels, you're going to make copious amounts of vitamin D by getting sun on your skin without sunscreen. But you don't want to burn. So that is the one thing. But again, you can build up a lot of vitamin D naturally because that's how we're designed. Anyway, did that answer the question?
I think it did. Interestingly, my mum died of vitamin D3 deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And as a consequence, I was the nurse in the family, and I said to everyone, right, you're all getting tested, because I'd been saying to her for ages that I wanted her tested, and she kept forgetting when she went to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was finally admitted for the last time, and I happened to be in the country with her, and I said, they were busy drawing blood as they were admitting her, and I said, listen, I want you to do a D3. And the nutritionist was busy hanging up a bag of intravenous nutrition. And she said to me, don't be silly. Your mum has autoimmune disease. It was the first thing the doctors would have tested for was vitamin D deficiency, and they hadn't. And anyway, so we got the whole family tested. And my husband and I were living in Mozambique at the time, which was really hot and just amazing sunshine. And we lived, our house was on the beach, and we were in the sun a lot. I love being in the sun. I just crave it. And our vitamin D3 levels were really just okay, nothing, you know, near healthy. And we were getting loads of it. So I don't know if it's just because we were deficient at birth or what it was, why we were struggling to actually manufacture it. But the entire family was really low. It was very interesting.
So when you were there, how much sun time were you getting every day, and on how much of your body were you getting?
Probably get up in a bikini, probably 2 hours for me.
So you were hours every day, and you were still vitamin D.
And I had a stunning tan, but my vitamin D3 level was at 40, not 80, which is what I was expecting it to be, around 80, and it was at 40. Yeah.
And were you weren't wearing any sunscreen?
No,
you weren't putting no sunscreen. Yeah. Well, then I would assume it's probably did you have any other health issues going on at the time?
Food intolerances that I didn't know about at the time.
Okay.
Thyroid.
So what were the symptoms?
So I had thyroid issues and hormonal imbalances.
Okay. Yeah. So see, all of those are symptoms of an underlying root problem. And so again, the problem with focusing on the chemistry aspect only of looking at what's resulting is, you're a perfect example, because even though you're like getting lots of sun, there's something that's still not working in the system, so you're not creating enough vitamin D. So you would need, and because you're having all these other symptoms, it's like healing the whole body then is going to make the body able to do the vitamin D production the way that it's supposed to. So yeah, I would think that, were you having, when you had food intolerance issues, were they more digestive, or were they showing up on the skin, or both?
Showing up on the skin as well, but I didn't know that's what it was at the time. I only discovered that's what it was later. But gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance, all of that, but I can trace it way back, yes.
Yeah, so it was definitely affecting your spleen, stomach energy, and also lung energy. So that would, and lung controls the skin, and the skin is part of the lung, large intestine system. So, and the skin is what produces the vitamin D, right? So if there was something that the skin isn't getting the energy that it needs, then it's not going to be able to do the chemistry part, which again is downstream from the energy body physics part. So it's not going to be able to do what it's supposed to do, which is create copious amounts of vitamin D. So that's good feedback. So yeah, again, that's why, when people are doing the rejuvenate, it's healing everything. You can't just put the healing energies and have them just, okay, I want to heal my broken arm. It's going to heal like all the other stuff, because we have so many people that are like, I wasn't even trying to get rid of my migraines. I was getting rid of my wrinkles and my hyperpigmentation on my face. And then my migraines went away, or the pain or whatever everywhere in the body. You hear this all the time, where it's like, I wasn't even trying to treat that thing. I was trying, I was just, doing this other thing, and that ended up healing. And sometimes those other things that you're not even trying to heal will heal even faster, because of those are the more recent things than the thing that's been longstanding. So yeah, so in your case, I would definitely be focusing, but you don't have the food well, you just got rid of the foods that you were reacting to, right?
Yes.
So and that's also, a lot of times people can heal and get the system back into balance, because it's not just about putting the right things in, it's about getting rid of the things that are causing a problem in the first place. So lactose, we're really not supposed to be eating dairy after we're infants. I mean, we're the only mammals on the planet that continue to drink milk or eat milk products after we're, past the infancy stage, because we're not designed to digest those things. In some cultures, they don't even have the enzymes necessary to digest them. Like Asians they literally cannot digest lactose. So when you're consuming things that the body's not designed to eat after you're an adult, it will, if you have too much of it, it will cause problems. So for me, like I don't eat very much cheese, but if I do, I want like a really stinky French or Italian cheese or something like. I want a really good one, and because I want a lot of bang for my buck. And if I eat it too often, then I can start to feel the spleen and stomach energy start to like kind of get bogged down, and I can literally start to see like where I'll start holding fluid, and so it's like, and it's directly from the dairy, and I've experimented with this intentionally many times off and on for years. So, and then use the rejuvenator, strengthen spleen and stomach energy. But you also want to stop what I call putting sand in the gas tank. You want to stop putting the sand in the gas tank because you don't want to be like fighting an uphill battle. So you can keep using this to heal that and like, optimize the system, but you don't want to keep, it's like figure out what the sand is. And like I said, a lot of times people are eating heat forming foods, or they're eating things that are putting extra heat in their body, or they're doing infrared saunas or things like that that are causing the problem that they're already having to get worse. So you want to get rid of the stuff that isn't good for you right now. And sometimes this stuff can be good for you when you're in balance. So a good example is, there, okay. Oops. It's going to keep ringing. Can you hear that on your end? You can. I don't know how to, it'll stop in a second. It's like a Google Hangouts thing because my phone rolls over to Google after if I don't hang up. Like, I don't know how to hang up. I hung up on my phone, but anyway, so like, for example, if you have weak spleen and stomach energy, you're going to want to eat a lot of vegetables, in general. Vegetables are good for you. But when you have weak spleen and stomach energy, you don't want to eat raw vegetables. You don't want to eat salads or cold vegetables because that energy that's needed, that's in that system, it takes all that energy to warm up the food, first of all, and to break down all the cellulose, it takes a huge amount more energy. So you want to lightly steam your vegetables instead of eating raw. But when you're back in balance, you can have some raw vegetables. You just don't ever, everything is like in moderation, have some cooked, have some, raw, but when you're out of balance, you don't want to, when your spleen and stomach energy is weak, you don't want to be eating raw vegetables. You don't want to put, that's like putting sand in your gas tank right now, because it's making it harder for that system to get optimized and to fully heal. It's just kind of like, it's slowing down the process. So you want to get rid of the stuff that isn't serving you and increase the things that are going to help at the same time. So in your case, so have you, just out of curiosity, since you got rid of those foods, have you had your vitamin D? Are you getting enough? Are you getting enough sunshine now, first of all? And have you had your vitamin D levels checked, or did you take supplementation or what?
I took supplementation from time to time if I hadn't been getting into the sun for a while. But
you're using sunshine predominantly for creating your vitamin D, and then
I love the sun. I absolutely, I really crave it. Yes, things definitely improved, and going off them improved. But if I don't get the sun, I definitely don't feel as good. It's fascinating. I just think sunshine is just amazing.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, because it's not just the vitamin D. There are so many other things. I mean, all of these colored frequencies, the invisible and the visible ones, have these different healing effects. So they're like different nutrients for the body, and you need all of them. You don't just you don't want to try to control the chemistry. People are like, oh, I have muscle cramps or whatever, take magnesium. It's like, and I've had people, it's like, I've taken magnesium, it doesn't help. It's like, it's because the energy is not getting to that muscle, so it's seizing up. So this fixes that, because it heals the root of the problem. It's not about trying to take chemistry and manipulate something. Sometimes people are very deficient in lots of nutrients because they're not eating them in their food. They're just not getting nutritious foods. But I do everything food as medicine. So I focus on, like, here, eat these foods, stop eating these, and right now, and you might eventually be able to reintroduce, well, you will. I mean, once you're back in balance, you can reintroduce. And even dairy, it's like, even if you're like really out of balance, you want to just cut that out. But then when you're back in balance, bring it back a little bit, but not every single day, and not like drinking milk, and not, like all this stuff, putting creamer in your coffee and things where you're getting too much of it every day. It's like a little bit, like a little bit in moderation. Everything's good in moderation. Just like too much water is bad for you. Most people don't drink enough water, but some people do. They go overboard and they drink like too much water. It's like too much water is just as bad for you as not enough water. Too much food is just as bad for you as not enough food. It's like, so like you don't want to have too much. You don't want to have too little. Sunshine, you need to have your minimum daily requirement. Just because, yes, if you get too much and you burn too often, yeah, it can create skin cancer, but avoiding sunshine literally has been directly correlated with every type of cancer. You're much more likely to get cancer of any kind, including skin cancer, if you avoid sunshine. So ironically, so even the skin cancer, you're much more likely to get skin cancer if you're avoiding sunshine, because people that work indoors and don't get sun have a much higher incidence of skin cancer than people who get lots of sun. So, but again, everything in moderation. Don't burn, don't burn. And yeah, but you need to, when you are super deficient, when people are, they've been running on fumes. I mean, like again, because those things that are siphoning off that life force energy, I mean, every single day, you literally do get like your gas tank gets lower and lower, your battery gets lower and lower. So you need to fill that up. And if you don't have the luxury of being able to go and live off the grid and live in nature for, a couple months so you can recharge naturally, that's the other thing that the Rejuvenator does. Is like you get to keep living in the city and keep doing your job, and, stop putting the sand in the gas tank, the bad foods and stuff like that, ideally, because then you're going to have even faster results. But so that's where it just fills you up and makes you energized. So even like at any age, and I hear this all the time, people, it's like, oh my God, like, a few months ago, before I started using the Rejuvenator, I was just tired all the time. I was tired, I didn't want to do anything. And now I like have all this energy and I'm like boundless energy. Like, and you just feel, it's like, oh my God, I can't remember. I remember when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I was exhausted all the time. I was like so out of balance and unhealthy. My liver wasn't working properly. I went through all of this. So I speak from experience. I had terrible, like my skin, I had so much liver toxicity at one time that my skin on all my face, it started around my eyes and then my whole face, red, swollen. I just looked terrible. I wouldn't even go out. It was so embarrassing because I looked so awful. And then I finally figured out it's like liver toxicity, and I'm like, what? Liver? That's like an old person's disease, like, so I've had to go through the learning curve myself. So, yeah, and I've learned a lot over the years. So, I've been there, and I know what it feels like when you're so sick and you're so tired all the time, and you're so EMF and energy sensitive, because I'm also an empath, so I'm extremely sensitive to energies, and also like that's why I can work with energy. And but when you're an empath, and you're like, as a child, it was a big problem for me because I didn't know how to moderate all that, getting bombarded with all these energies from people around me. So what I would do, I just intuitively, I spent so much time in nature, because that's how, like, being around people and energy vampires or whatever, just normal people, like, it was just constantly being bombarded, and the sensitivity, like, I didn't know how to filter it. So, and it was very draining and depleting. So I would just like spend huge amounts of time in nature, and that would just keep me charged up. And then I learned in my 20s what was going on, but it was a challenging learning curve, but it helps, for being able to help others. And it was a very helpful tool to have, working with patients. And so there are always good things. Every cloud has a silver lining. You have to look for the silver lining. Oh. So on that note, any final questions?
Just thank you so much.
Thank you. I love that color on you. Looks great. We talked about the fact that you match my pillows. Thank you for wearing that shirt so you would match my pillows and my orchid. We didn't actually plan that, but
we're just intuitive.
Exactly. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Jo. This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks, Leanne. This has been absolutely amazing, and we will. What are we going to?
You want me to show this one more time, just so
Yes,
at
maybe
the end? Catalyticcolor.com. If you and my YouTube channel, Leanne Catalytic CATALYTICCOLOR.com for people that are listening, and Leanne Venier LEANNEV as in Victor ENIER.com is another website. That's where my artworks are. But YouTube, social media is all under Leanne Venier.
And Leanne, what is our topic for next week?
I don't know. You tell me. I think we covered a lot, but I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about flow state, or
should we do
what?
Color next week?
Oh, individual colors. Yeah. You want to talk about individual colors?
Oh, why not?
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Is that good, or do you want to choose something else?
I can. It's up to you. This all stuff in my head. So whatever you want to talk about. It's not like I'm just like, here, we're going to talk about this. Download, comes up. Well, as you've seen, I can talk for a long time.
So next week, then we'll go into color, and I know that you have got just the most amazing stuff to tell everybody. So thank you so much.
I do. Maybe we can even do a screen share or something. We can look at some of my paintings and talk about those.
Yes, we'd love that. We'd love that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jo.
And thanks everyone in the Influencer family. Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Let me just end the live.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Cool. It should be good.
Oh, that was good. That was a long time.
That was a long time. Thank you. You were amazing. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's always fun doing stuff like that. I just like, there's a lot of information in my head. I mean, because I like literally any of these things I could talk about for an hour. I can talk about all kinds of different things for like an hour each. Yeah, so the individual colors, that'll be good. And I have that like in one of my YouTube videos, one of my early videos. I've got the whole breakdown in the part 3, where it's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. But what we can talk about is like when people are drawn to certain colors over the others, and even just the basics, like the energy. I think we talked about it last time, like I'm feeling depleted, so I want to be around, stimulating colors like red or yellow, or I'm feeling too much caffeine or too much stress. So you don't want to be around red. You want to be around blue, indigo, violet, green, stuff like that. Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yes. Sounds good. What time is it where you are now?
Wonderful. It is 10:09 where I am.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, have another glass of wine. Relax. My day's just starting. It's 1 o'clock.
Oh wow. Oh wow. So what did I want to just say to you quickly? Oh, how long is your training course? Your certification? What did you call it?
Do you mean my apprenticeship training program or the
apprenticeship training? Tell me about that.
That's an ongoing program. So it is actually like an apprenticeship. So like imagine being an apprentice and learning stuff. Although we have a year's worth of videos right now in the members group. So I haven't started doing it like on drip content yet, because most of the people that came into the program came in at the beginning, and then occasionally we get people that join in. So I haven't done it where it's like, because they're getting a bunch of free months basically. But so it's modeled in a way that you get access to all the training videos and the live training sessions. If you're active in the program when I'm doing the live training session, you can attend the live training session. So depending on where people are in the world or what time. So I do them through Zoom. And then the clinic portion of the training is actually getting to practice in real world situations with the people in the big community. So you get to practice by answering questions in the big group where people are like, because I was answering all the questions before, and it got to the point where it's like, like I've already talked about that here, type in this keyword and look for that. But now people can go back to getting like personalized answers specifically for them. But I still tell them, like, use the search bar because we've talked about this and you'll get all this additional information. But so the apprentices and I answer questions in the group when people say, this is what I've got going on. And then, and so I'm teaching them, it's like, ask more questions, find out what their background, when did this start, so they answer the questions, and you always see in the group that they put CPRJ. So that's the annotation if they're like one of the apprentices, and that they're learning this stuff from me. And I'm basically supervising dozens of apprentices instead of like having one follow me around with working with my patients. So it's a much better model where I can work with a lot of people, and then we can help thousands of people instead of, just the number of patients. So, so I made it really affordable. So I wanted it to be like really inexpensive for people, so that, and then, the requirement for answering questions in the group, it's like 5 questions a week. And some people are like, well, I'm busy right now, do I have to? It's like, no, but it's to your benefit to be practicing, because that's how we learn. It's like you learn so much faster by, like, I have this actual real world situation, and now I need to figure out, like, what do we do in this case? So, and that's where, like, when people are answering questions in the group, it's like you get to see what the other people are posting, and then you get to see, like, so I wait to see what the apprentices say. Sometimes I'll jump right in and like give some initial guidance, but usually I wait till the apprentices get a chance, and then I'll like, love or give them a heart if they give a really good answer, and then I'll like add anything if they're missing anything. But some of them are just like, they're just like mini me's now. I've got them like, it's like, or they'll go in and they'll find an answer that I gave, 8 months ago or something, somebody that was asking the exact same thing or had the exact same situation. So I made it really affordable. So the full certification is just $49.95 a month. And then I have a non-certification level where people are still doing the same thing. But the benefit of being in the certification levels, there's a pay it forward rewards program where if they have patients or whatever, and they're prescribing or recommending rejuvenators to their friends or family members or whatever, the people that are in the certification training program, they get a credit towards future rejuvenator purchases. They don't get paid, they just get like a credit, so that then they can get more rejuvenators and then use them for helping more people. So yeah, I've got this, but the non-certification level is $10 cheaper a month. So it's like less than $10 a week. So people get to learn all this stuff. Yeah. But that's that. And then the Creative Flow training program is a different thing, but that's the one that I was talking about that I want to bring back and start doing, the live, training programs again, but destination, like working with other people and doing these immersion things.
That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okey-doke.
And thank you, gorgeous.
Thank you. Same to you, gorgeous.
Have a fabulous day.
Okay. You too, and have a great night.
Thanks.
And enjoy your evening.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.